welcome to this video interview. Welcome to my good buddy Steve Roehm. Hi and welcome.
Hello, hello.
And the reason why I'm chatting with you today is actually because I had this thought the other day that a former student of mine, he talked about NLP and hypnosis, and he was actually referring to you from way back from a training he did, where you were helping me out on video, on Skype, doing that training, talking to my students about NLP and hypnosis.
Okay.
And I know with your big background within NLP and hypnosis, you're the perfect guy to let people know what the connection really is.
Right.
But first of all, for all of those who may not know who you are, could you tell a little bit about yourself?
That's a big thing to get into. Well, I'm a master hypnotist. I have a private practice in Nashville, Tennessee, and I've been practicing with private clients as on a professional level for about 10 years now. I'm also a master practitioner of neuro-linguistic programming. I'm a conversational hypnotist. I'm a teacher of conversational hypnosis. I'm just one of a handful in the world right now. I'm a master trainer for the International Association of Counselors and Therapists, much like yourself. And that's in a nutshell, on a professional level, that's who I am. But I've studied all these things for quite a while now, for about 14 years.
Yeah, and as you told me, for quite a while, so you know a lot of the little details about it.
I know a few things.
Exactly. and once again, what got me curious the other day was another student or another friend of mine asking me what is really the connection between the two of them.
Right.
And I know some people don't believe there's a connection, but I know that there is a connection. So maybe you're the best guy to really explain it. How did NLP get developed?
Well, the thing is, and you and I have discussed this before, that the thing is, hypnosis in and of itself can stand alone. Neuro-linguistic programming doesn't exist without hypnosis. When Richard Bandler and John Grinder were putting this whole modality together and really starting to understand how to communicate on a deeper level with the mind, they were looking at family therapy from Virginia Satir. They were looking at Gestalt therapy with Fritz Perls. And then, of course, the major component of neuro-linguistic programming came from the hypnotherapy work of Milton H. Erickson. And they were really starting to understand more about how to communicate on an unconscious level using the Milton model. And of course, it's grown from there. And in fact, neuro-linguistic programming is still growing. There are a lot of things that are being moved into it, and we're learning more about how to communicate on a deeper level and things like that. But I think it's really important to utilize both, especially when working with clients.
Yeah, and I know the way you work right now is you're blending everything together because you're kind of a master of all of it, and maybe you're not thinking about when you're doing what, but could you kind of structure a little bit? What would be perfect suited for NLP? What would be perfectly suited for hypnosis? If you're looking at a basic regular hypnosis session.
Okay. Well, it really depends on the context and the individual you're working with.
Yeah.
I think that they're so intertwined in me right now. They're so interwoven in everything that I do that it really is kind of like muscle memory. Because when you do something over and over and over, you don't have to think about it anymore. It's a beautiful thing about the unconscious mind. But when I was first starting out and I was wanting to incorporate more NLP into the hypnosis work that I was doing, I was looking for representational systems in people's language, the visual, the auditory, the kinesthetic. Of course, we have gustatory and olfactory experiences as well, but typically we don't go around licking and sniffing the world as a representational system.
That would be strange, wouldn't it?
Babies do that. They put things in their mouths to see what things are and, what the world's all about. And, of course, I guess on some level, many people do, especially here in the United States. If you walk around, you'll see many people who've shoved a lot of things in their mouths. And it shows on the outside after a while, and that's why they come see me. But, what I'm listening for is the representational systems. I want to know if they're experiencing the world through more of a visual context or more of a kinesthetic context, or is it something that's auditory for them? And basically the way it works out is about 40% of the population are going to be kinesthetic learners. About 40% are going to be visual learners, and about 20% are going to be auditory learners as a primary representational system. And I hope this doesn't go over somebody's head who's just starting to watch this for the first time. If you do, then you need to come to a training. But we all experience the world with all of those representational systems. But we all have one that's a primary representational system for us, where we actually utilize that on a much deeper level to experience the world around us. And the thing is, most people don't even know their own representational system and how they actually experience the world. Yeah. And I'm listening for certain things and watching for things as well. Out of neuro-linguistic programming, we have the eye accessing cues. And, when you're looking one way, you're looking for visual remembered and visual constructed, auditory, and,
also eye patterns of NLP.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And looking for those things and listening to the language they're using gives me a better idea of how I'm going to put my session together as we go through the whole process. And, those are just the little things that I'm starting to look for as far as the representational systems. But we can also get into submodalities and how they experience those experiences, and get into really detailed, processes.
If let's focus a little bit about the communication, because there will be a difference between the hypnotic language and the NLP language, because the recipient or the receiver of the language would be maybe deep in trance, maybe medium trance, maybe not in trance at all.
Yeah.
And if you go look on the internet, search on Google or something, and you search for NLP, these days you can get NLP for business, you can get NLP for salespeople, you get NLP for this and that, actually.
Right.
What is there actually a difference, or is it just something of the extra that people adds on to the NLP trainings? Isn't NLP just NLP still? Or?
Well, it depends on the context.
Yeah.
It depends on your intention and how you deliver your communication, because we can really put ourselves into a much more hypnotic state, even during normal conversation, where we can really start to slow down and draw somebody's attention in. So you can think about things on a much deeper level like that. But with NLP, you can do these things without people even being aware that they're experiencing them. If you're listening to, just on a normal conversation, if you're listening to and really paying attention to somebody and how they're talking, excuse me, there's a siren about to go by.
I can hear that. That's the cue.
Well, I do live in Nashville. But when you're listening to somebody and the way they're talking, listen to what they're saying. If they're talking about things that they're seeing and how they see the world and colors and brightness and things like that, they're probably a visual learner. And if you change your communication to match their representation of the world, you're going to affect them in a much deeper way. Yeah. Now, that's on an individual level. If we're talking to groups of people, then we need to incorporate all of them because we want to bring them all in. But, if we can talk to an individual using their own representational system, we're going to get much more like laser focused and helping them, understand more about what you're saying. Let's take couples, for instance. Say you have a man who is a kinesthetic learner.
Yeah.
And he's always talking about his feelings and how he feels about the world, and he's got a wife or a girlfriend or whatever who's a very visual learner, and she just can't see where he's coming from. They may both end up talking about exactly the same thing, but they're coming at it from different representational systems and different ways of experiencing that experience. So there's a disconnect. And a lot of times it leads to arguments and things like that because people are talking about the same thing, but they're not talking about it in the same way. So, on any relationship level, whether it's somebody you just met or somebody you've known for a long time, listen to the way they talk. Yeah. Listen to what they're saying, how they say things, and start to change what you're saying to match what they're experiencing.
Okay. So let's say that you already know hypnosis.
Mm-hmm.
What would you benefit from knowing NLP also? What can you bring into a regular session, a conversation, knowing NLP also?
Well, and again, it goes back to a lot of those representational systems. I bounce back to that a lot because it really is important, because people are not even aware of those experiences they're having. You can get into submodalities of their experience. And, like I had a guy in here yesterday who came in for a fear of flying. And, most people would say, well, why do you have this fear of flying? I don't care why he has it. I want to know how he has it.
Yeah.
How do you know you're experiencing this? And he said, what do you mean? I said, well, how do you know you're afraid to fly right now? I said, just close your eyes and think about it for a minute. How do you know you're experiencing that? He closed his eyes and he said, well, I see myself at an airport and I see this plane taking off, and man, it just freaks me out. Every time I see a plane take off, I just freak out about it. Oh, okay. So bingo, he's a visual learner.
Yeah.
So what I have to do is change what he's seeing during that experience. But we can get into the submodalities of how he's actually seeing that. Is it something that he's seeing clearly? Is it something that's blurry? Is it something that's in a frame? Or is it something that's panoramic? Is it something that's up close or far away? Is he associated or dissociated? How is he actually having that full experience?
Because could it even be like a dual reality?
Well, and we can do that. We can actually change, because once you understand submodalities, you can go in and find an experience that he feels really good about, something he gets really excited about, and he's got all his confidence.
Yeah.
And we go in and we draw out the submodalities of that experience. Because let's say when he thinks about flying, it's kind of blurry and it's far away.
Yeah.
But he has this other experience over here that's just amazing. And it's really close and it's clear and he can see it and he's right there in it. So what we want to do is we want to take those submodalities and combine them so this experience has these submodalities. So when he has that experience, he feels that confidence.
Okay.
So we're connecting those things on a deeper level, on an unconscious level, he's not even aware that he's experiencing when you're talking. And it's a beautiful thing. Well, go ahead. You're about to ask a question.
Yeah, so it's actually,
Excuse the siren again.
Yeah, it's okay. So using that language, using the NLP, you will also get your client to open up, showing emotions in a different way, or maybe even open up to emotions that they didn't know they had or were able to communicate with.
Exactly. Yeah? You're connecting with them on a much deeper level.
Okay.
And they're going to have much more insight from that experience as well.
Yeah. And you said in the beginning that there's no NLP without hypnosis.
Right.
And I would guess, it's just a guess, that most people who are trained in NLP do not know that it has anything to do with hypnosis. Or do not know the fact.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, exactly.
It really is unfortunate.
So let's say that I was a master trainer or practitioner of NLP. Mm-hmm. What would I benefit from knowing hypnosis then? Adding that modality to just doing the NLP?
Well, learning context, I think, is really important.
Yeah.
And learning criteria and how to take somebody into a deeper experience. It really is a shame that a lot of NLPers are not aware of their own background and their own history. In fact, I know an NLP trainer who refuses to even mention hypnosis in their marketing.
Okay.
Because they think it's going to, freak people out and scare them away. But hypnosis happens all the time. Hypnosis we spend most of our days in trance. Why not utilize that state along with some of the things that you get from NLP as far as rapport building techniques, as far as the representational systems, the meta model, the Milton model.
Yeah.
And people who are NLPers understand what I'm talking about. If you're not, again, check out a training. It's something you should definitely do. But learning how to put yourself in a situation where you can start to use hypnotic language, which can be a bit more confusing sometimes than NLP, especially when you start to get into mind-bending language and you're starting to deal with spatial and temporal experience. But I think all NLPers should learn hypnosis. I think all hypnotists should learn NLP. And just like we've talked about in every training we do, is fill your toolbox.
Exactly.
Learn as many things as you can to help the people that you're working with as quickly as possible. Yeah. And the more you do that, the better off you're going to be, the happier they're going to be, the more people they're going to send you, and the more butts you're going to have in your chair. And that just means more checks in your checking account.
Yeah.
So I think everybody should learn these things. and especially the conversational hypnosis work.
Exactly. And maybe the challenge is, still hypnosis. Just the word hypnosis got a bad reputation. Where I come from,
But rightly so.
Yeah, apparently so. Well, I do a lot of trainings in Europe, and it's kind of the same. That hypnosis is kind of the alternative stuff. It's something
Right.
that goes a little bit further out than just regular other modalities of whatever, communication, therapy, whatever. And NLP are kind of embraced by the corporate world. People who do have a lot of people beneath them. Corporate wise, owners of CEOs, even maybe salesmen, team leaders, people like that uses NLP for just get a more enhanced communication maybe.
Right.
But still, if those two are so close connected, how come you think that it's still, hypnosis is still a bad word? NLP is something, it's just NLP, and hypnosis is like, it's hypnosis.
Well, we can go all the way back to Anton Mesmer.
Yeah.
And the cape and the big hat that he wore and the
Mesmerizing.
showmanship. And, the thing is, hypnosis has, you do stage hypnosis. I've done some stage work. We've both done street hypnosis. It's a lot of fun. But, we can trace back to the 1950s where people were doing, really showy stuff, and it became this almost a powerful thing that people were doing. So there's this mystique around it. NLP has had a much better marketing plan over the years because they've drawn people in who are in bigger areas, and they don't call it hypnosis because it's just like a guided meditation. Guided meditation is all hypnosis.
Exactly.
But if they sold it as hypnosis, not as many people would go in to experience it. Just because of the thoughts that we have. I have a friend who went to do, where did he do that training? In Switzerland, I think. Was it Switzerland?
Yeah.
That our friend went to. He did a training there, but he couldn't call it hypnosis. He had to call it witchcraft.
True.
Because it was much more accepted. Which
so strange.
I just don't understand.
No.
Hypnosis really has gotten a bad rap over the years, and it's because people have used it in the wrong way, and they've, of course, don't get me wrong, NLP has been used in the wrong way in many cases as well.
Yeah.
It all depends on your intention and what your desired outcome is. I hope that everybody who goes through your training or my training or anybody's training really goes about this with a positive intention to help the world around them.
Or definitely our training also.
What's that?
Or definitely our training.
Exactly. Because we really just, I know we've worked together, we've done trainings together, and the only thing we want to do is help people.
Yeah.
And send good people out in the world to do good work. And that's where the intention comes from. That's where, my mentor and a teacher of yours as well, Igor Lidohovsky, he basically put a term to it that I didn't have for it before. I've been utilizing it since I started practicing hypnosis, but it's the positive intention of helping people through using the hypnotic experience. It's called H+. And putting a label on that for me several years ago really kind of brought everything together for me. The intention that drives, whether it's NLP or hypnosis, is the most important thing for you.
And briefly talking about the misconceptions, the witchcraft of hypnosis.
Right.
A lot of people are talking about definition of it. And as well as I do, that in the old dictionary book, the definition about hypnosis is so offbeat, actually, but could be summoned up to something way more simpler. What would your definition of hypnosis actually be?
Well, I could go back to the definition we learned several years ago.
Please don't do that. Let everyone know the true one.
The true one. I think the definition of hypnosis varies as any hypnotist varies, because we all have different approaches to it and different perspectives of what it is.
Yeah.
We basically it's the unconscious mind opening up to suggestions. It's allowing suggestions to go in to begin to change what the unconscious mind is doing, what it's experiencing, and starting to reprogram yourself on a much deeper level. Some people would say it's just focus. Again, there's that long, drawn-out definition that you and I both know that I'm not going to go into right now, but it sounds good when I tell it to my clients.
Yeah.
But basically all it means is you're focused, and the world around you doesn't matter. You know, the siren that went by a few minutes ago, I sit in this office on a daily basis, and sirens go by here every single day. But people are so drawn into the experience that they're having, those sirens don't matter. You know, they're experiencing what I'm guiding them through. And what hetero-hypnosis is basically is guiding somebody through an experience so they can have more insight, they can have change, and they can create the lives that they want to. But to give you a simple definition of hypnosis, I don't know that I could because it's such a subjective experience.
And to sum on the whole conversation up right now, and you talked about something a couple of minutes ago, that we're hypnotized all day anyway.
Right.
So people not believing in being hypnotized is definitely wrong, because maybe they just haven't experienced being dehypnotized. Maybe
Right.
that's it. And I had a conversation the other day with some students, and I've seen this, this idea, this philosophy also around the web, and I'm starting to believe in this, that I'm not really hypnotizing my clients, I'm dehypnotizing them.
I think I don't know that there's a difference really. I think
No.
there's just different levels of trance.
Exactly.
I think what we're doing is actually giving people control of their lives again, which is something they've given up. You know, when we go through our lives, we have experiences that affect us in deep ways, and then sometimes we're not even aware how those little experiences can affect us. And those things can be like the seeds planted in a garden. You know, a little bitty seed can grow up to something incredible. It can be incredibly good or incredibly bad, depending on, what it was that started the process in the first place. I think we're really we're taking people to a different level of trance and giving them new tools to help themselves be better people. But yeah, people walk around in trances all day long. You can see it happen. Every 90 minutes we dip into a trance anyway, regardless of whether we want to or not. It just happens.
Okay. Yeah.
So seeing that and utilizing it in a positive way, I think is something everybody should learn to do.
And if people watching right now is getting a little bit more curious about everything that you just told us and how to get a hold of you,
Okay.
how could people get a hold of you right now? Maybe getting a training, or maybe getting some questions answered.
Well, there's a couple ways. If you're interested in private practice, you can go to NashvilleHypnosis.com. And if you're interested in going through trainings, workshops, because I'm doing intro workshops and advanced workshops and certification trainings and all kinds of fun stuff coming up, you can go to MasterHypnosisTraining.com.
Cool. Yeah, and I will be doing a training in September at your place also.
Exactly. I'm really excited
That's
about
gonna
that.
be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be a blast.
All right, so let's hope people are connecting and hooking up, and hopefully get another view of what NLP and hypnosis is really all about. So thanks for being with me today.
Sure. Absolutely. And if anybody has any questions, you can go to either one of those websites, get my email address, and shoot me a question, and I'll be more than happy to answer them for you as quickly as I can. You understand, I'm pretty busy, so.
All right, take care.
Thanks.